Banking Law and Practice. Chapter 4, Negotiable Instruments. Part 1. Meaning of check. A check is a bill of exchange drawn on a specified banker, payable on demand only. It is a written order by an account holder directing the bank to pay a fixed sum to a named person or to the bearer. The word check refers to a checked and verified payment order. The person issuing it is the drawer, the bank executing the order is the drawee, and the person receiving the money is the payee. The NI Act, 1881 defines a check as a bill of exchange drawn on a specified banker, not payable otherwise than on demand. It must have an unconditional order to pay a certain sum to a certain person. Example: Ria has a savings account and writes a check to Priya for 5,000 Indian rupees. Here, Ria is the drawer, Ria's bank is the drawee, and Priya is the payee who receives the payment. Parties to a check. Drawer, the account holder who writes and signs the check, giving the bank an order to pay the stated amount to the payee. Drawee, the bank on which the check is drawn. In every check, the bank is always the drawee, it carries out the payment order. Payee, the person named in the check to receive the payment. The drawer's order directs the bank to pay this person the stated amount. Holder, the person legally entitled to possess the check and to receive or recover the amount due on it from the bank. Holder in due course, HIDC, a person who receives the check for value, before maturity, in good faith, with no knowledge of any defect in the transferor's title. Endorser and endorsee, the endorser signs the back of the check to transfer it. The person to whom it is transferred is called the endorsee. Essential requisites of a check. Must be in writing, must be written in ink or ballpoint pen. Pencil is not accepted. Typed or printed forms are valid, but the drawer's signature must always be in ink. Must be unconditional, the payment order must carry no conditions. A check made payable only if a certain event occurs is void from the very start, it has no legal effect. Drawn on a specified banker, the name of the bank, drawee, must be clearly written. Without a named bank, the check is invalid and the banker will refuse to honor it. Certain sum of money, the amount must be specific and fixed, payable in money only, not goods or services. Banks require the amount in both words and figures. Certain payee, the payee's name must be clearly stated. A valid check must include all three parties, drawer, drawee, bank, and payee. Date and signature of drawer. A valid date must be on the check and the drawer must sign in ink. Without a proper date or signature, the bank will refuse to honor the check. Uses of a check. Safe payment method, no need to carry large cash. Checks make heavy payments safe and convenient, reducing the risk of theft or loss during transit. Convenient to receive, the payee receives money simply by depositing the check into their bank account. No need to handle or verify large amounts of physical cash. Acts as a receipt, a paid check serves as proof of payment. It works as both a payment instrument and an acknowledgement that the payment was made. Evidence of payment. In case of any dispute between drawer and payee, the check and passbook entries serve as legal evidence of the transaction in court. Near money, a check is almost as good as cash. It can be endorsed from one person to another to settle dues without needing physical currency. Reduces cash in circulation. Checks reduce the need for physical legal tender, allowing banks to operate with a smaller amount of cash reserves in hand. Types of check. Open check can be encashed directly at the bank counter, deposited into an account, or transferred to someone else by signing the back of it. Cross check has two parallel lines drawn across the face. Cannot be encashed at the counter. Payment is credited only to the payee's bank account. Bearer check, payable to any person who presents it at the bank. No endorsement is needed. It passes from one person to another by simple delivery. Order check, payable only to the named person or their order. The word bearer is cancelled and order is written. Transfer requires the payee's endorsement. Date-based checks, classified by their date of issue and validity, includes antedated, duly dated, post-dated, stale, and mutilated checks. Date-based types of check. Antedated check, a check carrying a date earlier than the actual date of issue. The banker honors it as long as the check has not yet become stale, expired. Stale check, a check not presented for payment within the validity period, currently 3 months from date of issue. After this, the banker refuses payment unless the drawer renews it. Postdated check, a check with a future date written on it. The banker will not pay before that date arrives. Paying early creates risks: stop payment, drawer insolvency, or a court garnishee order. Mutilated check, a check torn into 2 or more pieces. The bank will not pay without the drawer's written confirmation. If only corners are torn and nothing is erased, payment may still be made. Section 138, Dishonor for insufficient funds. What it covers: Sections 138 to 141 of the NI Act, added 2002, impose criminal punishment when a check bounces because the drawer lacks sufficient funds in their bank account. Conditions for offense: the check must settle a valid debt, be presented within the validity period, and be dishonored only for insufficient funds, not for any other reason. Notice to drawer: after dishonor, the payee must send a written demand notice to the drawer within 30 days of receiving the bank's dishonor memo asking for payment. Drawer's time to pay: the drawer must make full payment within 15 days of receiving the payee's notice. Failure to pay within this time turns it into a criminal offense under the Act. Punishment: the drawer can face imprisonment up to 2 years, a fine up to double the check amount, or both, decided by the court based on the merits of the case. Multi-City Check NCTS 2010 Standard. Multi-City Check, MCC, a check payable at par at all core banking branches of the issuing bank across India. The payee can present it at any branch or through their own bank. Who can issue MCC? Only core banking branches are authorized to issue MCCs. All customers with check-operated accounts are eligible to receive and use multi-city checks. Why CTS 2010 was needed? Growing use of MCCs and the check truncation system, CTS, made it necessary to set uniform minimum security and design standards across all Indian banks. CTS 2010 Standard, a set of benchmark security features prescribed by RBI, coordinated by IBA and NPCI. All banks must issue only NPCI-certified CTS 2010 compliant checks to customers. Key security features includes UV-printed bank logo, void pantograph, CTS 2010 watermark, signature space indicator, and standardized field placements for optical/image character recognition. Crossing of checks. Crossing means drawing 2 parallel transverse lines across the face of a check. A cross check cannot be encashed at the bank counter. The amount can only be credited to a bank account. The word crossing refers to lines marked across the face of the check. These lines are an instruction: do not pay cash over the counter. Credit the money only into the payee's bank account. Crossing protects the check from misuse if it is lost or stolen. It ensures payment reaches only the rightful person through a verified bank account, making fraudulent encashment very difficult. Sections 123 to 131 of the NI Act, 1881 govern crossing. Section 131A extends these rules to bank drafts too, so both checks and bank drafts can be legally crossed. General crossing. Meaning 2 parallel lines across the check, with or without, and company, not negotiable, or account payee only makes it a generally crossed check. Payment through bank only. Section 126 says the paying banker must not pay it at the counter. It must be paid only to a banker, credited into a bank account. Still negotiable. A generally crossed check stays negotiable. The payee can still endorse and transfer it, but payment must always go through a bank account. Words that can be added: the lines may include not negotiable or account payee only. With 2 parallel lines, any such words form a valid general crossing. If violated, paying it at the counter means payment is not in due course. The banker loses statutory protection and is liable to the drawer and the true owner. Limited protection, only limited safety. A thief can forge the payee's signature and encash it through their own bank. This gap is why special crossing was introduced. Special crossing. Meaning, when the name of a specific bank is written across the face of a check, with or without parallel lines, the check is said to be specially crossed to that bank. Two lines not mandatory, two parallel lines are not required in special crossing. Simply writing the specific bank's name across the face of the check is legally sufficient. Direction to paying banker. Section 126 says the paying banker must pay only to the named bank or its agent for collection. No other bank can receive a specially crossed check. Greater protection. Special crossing is more secure than general crossing. The named bank knows the payee well, making forgery far easier to detect and prevent. Cannot be converted back. A specially crossed check cannot be downgraded to a general crossing. The crossing stays permanent unless the drawer cancels it with their full signature. Who can cross and opening of crossing? Drawer can cross. The drawer can cross the check either generally or specially at the time of issuing it. This is the most common way a check is crossed. Holder can cross. If the drawer has not crossed the check, the holder may cross it. The holder can also convert an existing general crossing into a special crossing. Banker can cross. A banker may cross an uncrossed check while collecting it for a customer. They may also cross it specially to themselves or to another bank for collection purposes. General to special only. A general crossing can always be converted into a special crossing. However, a special crossing can never be reversed or converted back to a general crossing. Opening of crossing. Only the drawer can cancel the crossing by writing, pay cash, and signing in full. Initials alone are not accepted. Once opened, the check becomes an open check. General crossing versus special crossing. Two parallel lines. General crossing. Two parallel lines are mandatory. Special crossing. Two parallel lines are not required. The bank name alone is legally sufficient. Bank name required? General crossing. Bank name is not needed. Special crossing. The name of the specific bank must be clearly written on the face of the check. Payment direction. General crossing can be paid through any banker's account. Special crossing, paid only to the specific named bank or its authorized agent for collection. Convertibility. General crossing can be upgraded to special crossing by any holder. Special crossing can never be reversed or converted back to general crossing. Level of protection. General crossing, limited protection. A forger can use any bank. Special crossing, stronger protection. The named bank verifies the payee closely. Double crossing and not negotiable crossing. Double crossing, meaning specially crossing a check to more than one bank, is double crossing. Section 127 of the NI Act prohibits this. It defeats the purpose of special crossing. Exception to double crossing, permitted only when the second bank acts as agent for the first bank, for example, when the first bank has no branch at the collecting location. Not negotiable, meaning writing not negotiable within the cross lines, means the transferee cannot get a better title than what the transferor had at the time of transfer. Effect on title. As per Section 130, even if the receiver takes the check in good faith and for value, they get only as good a title as the transferor had. Defective title passes on. Obliteration of crossing. Erasing the crossing turns the check into an open check. Deliberate obliteration is a criminal act. The banker is protected under Section 89 only if the erasure was not visible on careful scrutiny. That's a wrap, Part 1. Don't forget to subscribe for more.